So, alright, cool, and go.
So, Daniel, welcome to Dublin.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on What If.
Thanks.
It's an absolutely brilliant film.
Awesome, good.
When you're playing as Wallace, he's a very three-dimensional character. He's very fun, he's very witty, he can be very sharp, and he's very different from every other character you've played.
Yes.
What do you look for in a character when you go to get one?
I mean, I suppose I look for stuff that I haven't done before, if possible. And at the moment, I've done comparatively little, so there's still lots of things for me to try. So at this stage, I don't really want to repeat myself too much, and I like, it's not just about looking for things that are different from Harry, but it's also looking for things that are different from The Woman in Black, or now from this movie, and and as long as, so far, people have been giving me opportunities to kind of explore lots of different roles, and that's a lot of fun. But I suppose I look for the same thing in any script, just kind of good dialogue, real relationships, and an interesting story arc, to use a really horrible phrase that I actually hate, but I can't think of another replacement for. I look for, I guess, all of those things. Yeah.
And you have that wonderful relationship with Zoe Kazan in this. And you have this nice little story arc, as you were saying there, with Fool's Gold.
Yes.
The thing that kind of did in Elvis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was a lot that did in Elvis. Yeah. I think it was the quantity of Fool's Gold he consumed. Everything in moderation you'll be fine. But yeah, Fool's Gold is, for those who haven't had the pleasure, it's a loaf of Italian white bread that you cut it in half, hollow out the inside. Then you fill it with an entire jar of jam and then an entire jar of peanut butter, and then you stuff it with a pound of crispy bacon.
Did you try it?
I did. I had loads. Yeah, I had quite a bit. But it was an interesting, it was the divide between having grown up in England and having grown up in LA was very evident between me and Zoe, because she was just looking at it being like, that's not food. No one should ever eat that. And I was looking at it going, high cuisine! This is fantastic.
And how is it?
It's lovely, it's delicious. Like, what's not to like? I like peanut butter, I like jam, I like bacon, I like bread. It's fantastic. And it's not one of those things that, because sometimes by combining things, you make both the things you love worse. Like, I love Ribena and Diet Coke, and I tried to mix them together, and it was horrible. But so it didn't work. It's not like that. It's more just, it's a good sandwich.
Like chocolate and popcorn. I don't think it'll work.
But
it works beautifully.
There you go. Exactly. It's unexpected, but if anyone has the time and inclination to make them for yourself, they're great.
Yes. And you also worked with Adam Driver and Mackenzie on this. What was it like working with Adam, who's got such a comedic background? Did he help you with maybe more of your comedic lines in this film?
Not particularly. I mean, Adam's not the type of person that would ever deign to sort of give notes to somebody else or anything, but just being around him and watching him and when you're in scenes like that, the person you are relying on is the other guy in the scene with you, and so you fire off each other's energy, so I think he helped a huge amount in that respect. And also, I was just, a lot of the time, it was a very good test for me in terms of not laughing on camera, because Adam improvises a lot. Like, we all improvised a bit in this film, but Adam, 40–50% of everything he says in the film seems to be just his own. And so I'm just kind of, when he's going off on something and being really, really funny, it's very hard. Sometimes you just have to go, okay, don't laugh, because then you'll have screwed up the take and we can't use it. And but so it was a good challenge for that. But yeah, Adam's an amazing guy. He's very, I think people expect him to be this kind of loud extrovert guy, and he's really not. He's very, not shy, but he's quietish and very. But just incredibly smart, and has a really interesting sort of story. He trained to be a Marine, and then that didn't work out because of injury, and just like a really interesting background, and I think comes to acting from a different perspective.
And at any point in What If, did you have to was Wallace going to be American, or did they always just decide, no, it's Daniel, he's a great British actor, we're just going to stick with a British accent?
I mean, I learnt it as American, to be honest, and then I got out there, and they said, it was slightly bizarre, but they said that they were basically going to pull funding from the film unless I did an English accent. And, at that point, having been sort of strong-armed into it, I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to now make a stand and say, well, I learned it in American, so I'm going to put 400 people out of work. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. So I ended up English, and I was a little bit disappointed, just because I like doing accents and I like show it, and I think it's important for me to show that I can do an American accent. But I got to do that in Kill Your Darlings, and I did it in Horns, which comes out later in the year. So in the end, it was actually fine, and it's fine for the character to be English. It makes total sense that he could be still, so it's not a problem.
And And talking about horns, how excited are you for fans to see horns as well as Frankenstein's monster?
Yes, I'm very excited, particularly to see horns, I have to say. I mean, Victor Frankenstein, that'll come out next year, so I'll be sort of thinking about that more then. And also, I haven't seen any of that, so I don't know whether I should be excited or fearful yet. But yeah, the Horns, I think, is an amazing movie. It's crazy. It's unlike anything else I've ever done, and I think unlike most things people will have seen. It refuses to be tied down to a genre, so it's really, really funny, and it's really dark, and has these amazing like slasher horror elements to it, but it's also got this beautiful love story in the middle of it, and it's a revenge thriller, so it's a bit of everything, and the director, Alex, sort of flips between those tones seamlessly and fearlessly, and yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's a really exciting, unusual movie. It reminds me of a thing my friends wrote a musical, and there's a line in it where they say, I'd rather be 9 people's favourite thing than 100 people's 9th favourite thing, and I think that's the attitude I'm taking with Horns for sure.
And will your character in that, Ignatius?
Ignatius, yeah.
Would he be your first kind of villain?
He's an anti-hero. He's a sort of true anti-hero in that you should be rooting for him the whole way through, and you should be on his side the whole way through as the world around him sort of crumbles and turns to hell. That's the thing. He sort of physically turns into the devil, but the world around him is what turns into hell. And so you should be, and he does in the true sort of anti-hero sense of the word. You know, he does some really questionable things and things that you kind of should worry about him for and should not be on his side for, but ultimately he sort of comes good in the end.
Well, Daniel, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see What If again.
Thank you very much. Cheers, man. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Awesome.